Rangers supporters gather round because the atmosphere around Ibrox is shifting, and the next few weeks are shaping up to be absolutely crucial for the future of the club. There is a feeling in the air that decisions happening behind closed doors are about to define not only the upcoming transfer window, but the long-term direction of the team. As the January market creeps closer, all eyes naturally turn to Danny Rowe, who suddenly finds himself carrying far more weight on his shoulders than anyone expected when he first stepped through the door. The recent shake-up in the hierarchy has pushed him into a spotlight that goes well beyond the touchline, and the choices made now could echo throughout the rest of the campaign. When the board decided to move on from Patrick Stewart and Kevin Thel, it created a vacuum in the club's structure that Rowe is now being drawn into, whether he likes it or not. Fans have felt the tension building, especially with the team stumbling through inconsistent performances, and that frustration has only added fuel to the pressure surrounding him. Even members of the wider footballing department look set to depart as part of this restructuring, which shows just how extensive the changes are inside Ibrox. All of it places Rowe at the center of the upcoming window, where he will need support, authority, and a clear plan if he hopes to reshape the squad into something capable of competing again. Rangers' recent draw with Dundee United did not make things any easier. Sitting in fourth place and 9 points adrift of the top is not where anyone expected to be at this stage, and the gap cannot be allowed to stretch any further. That disappointing result has sparked more debate around what must happen in January, and it has drawn the attention of former figures who know exactly how demanding this period can be. Observers watching Rowe's early tenure have noted the composure he has shown, but they also recognize the scale of the challenge he now faces. The expectation is that he will need to be aggressive when the window opens, both in clearing space and in bringing in players who fit the style and identity he wants to build. Those who have been paying close attention to his early matches have been impressed by his calm approach and the way the squad has reacted to his leadership. The structure is clearer, the effort is visible, and there is a sense of direction that was missing before his arrival. Still, everyone can see the same weakness that keeps appearing. The overall quality is not where it needs to be. That is why the January window feels less like an opportunity and more like a necessity. Without a sporting director in place and without a chief executive to guide the wider strategy, Rowe will need to take on a more hands-on role in identifying targets, setting priorities, and making sure every incoming player fits exactly what his system demands. And that is where things become even more demanding for him. The expectation is that any signing made from here on out will carry his fingerprints. Every addition will reflect the characteristics he believes the team needs: technical ability, strong mentality, physical presence, and the hunger to take responsibility in big moments. There is interest across different positions, and the club knows they cannot afford to miss with their choices. With the leadership structure still incomplete and key appointments still to be made, the manager will be steering the ship through a period where stability is needed more than ever. While the focus naturally shifts to what can be added, departures are also part of the equation. Certain names have already started to emerge as possible exits, players who may need to move on to free wages and open room for the rebuild. Rowe has shown a willingness to make bold decisions when required, and with pressure mounting around results, he may not hesitate to move experienced players aside if it helps him bring in the reinforcements he believes are vital for the months ahead. The squad has moments of quality, but the imbalance is too clear to ignore. and the window offers a chance to correct that. At the same time, the fallout from the Dundee United match has forced deeper conversations about what is happening on the pitch. There was a stretch in that match when Rangers looked sharp, pressing with intent and carving out promising moments, but all of it was undone by another defensive collapse that left supporters shaking their heads. Once again, it was a moment that could have been avoided, a series of small errors that built into something costly. There is frustration because the team had multiple chances to clear the danger, yet hesitancy allowed the opposition to keep the attack alive, and the punishment that followed felt inevitable. Watching back the footage only deepens the concern. Individual mistakes stand out, but the larger issue is collective weakness in vital situations. Too many players stepping back instead of stepping forward, too many soft challenges, too many moments where desire from the opponent outweighed the reaction from the Rangers' defense. Even with a few bright individual performances, the overall picture was one of a backline that never quite settled, always half a step behind, always scrambling to recover instead of setting the tone. It is the type of vulnerability that spreads beyond the defense and affects the entire team, forcing the forwards to chase matches instead of building from a solid base. This makes the upcoming decisions even more important. Rowe knows he cannot continue with a defensive setup that keeps conceding preventable goals and invites pressure in every match. The lack of reliability has already cost valuable points, and the consequences of that are becoming more severe by the week. Dropping points twice in a row has put the club in a position where changes feel unavoidable. Whether that means bringing in younger players, shifting the formation, or sidelining senior figures, something needs to give if the team wants to rebuild momentum and climb back into the fight. As the dust continues to settle after that chaotic afternoon, the conversations around Ibrox have only grown louder, with supporters demanding a response that matches the scale of the problems laid bare on the pitch. Every setback feels heavier because the team keeps finding new ways to complicate their own tasks. The sense of urgency is unmistakable now, and Danny Rowe will know that standing still is no longer an option. The January window is approaching like a giant storm cloud, but the fixtures coming before it are just as important, and the manager must find a way to steady things even before reinforcements arrive. There is a growing belief that the defensive structure needs immediate attention. It is not simply about individual errors, though those have been plentiful, but rather the collective drop in concentration that appears whenever the team loses control of the ball. There are moments when Rangers push forward with promise, stringing together passes and building pressure, only for everything to unravel the moment their opponent breaks through the midfield line. The lack of compactness has been a consistent issue, leaving far too much space for quick counters, and teams have learned that they only need to be patient to unlock opportunities. That pattern is what frustrates supporters most, because it suggests the lessons from previous weeks have not been fully absorbed. Rowe has spoken often about wanting his side to show personality and bravery, yet it is clear that those qualities must be supported by discipline and responsibility in key areas of the pitch. The players have shown they can produce bursts of energy and attacking fluency, but those spells are often undone by lapses that would be punished even at the youth level. When a team carries ambitions as high as Rangers, it simply cannot afford to give away soft goals. The emotional weight of those mistakes becomes even heavier when the squad is already under pressure to close a gap at the top of the table. And the pressure is not only coming from outside. Inside the dressing room, there is an acknowledgement that standards have slipped. Several players have been visibly frustrated with themselves on the pitch, and the communication between the backline and midfield has shown signs of strain. That is often the clearest indicator that a reset is required. Rowe has been working to install a clear identity, but identity only works when the units on the pitch react together as a single force rather than isolated individuals chasing problems as they unfold. When the team finds itself stretched, disorganized, or slow to close down passing lanes, it creates an environment where even simple attacks become threatening. That lack of structure also affects the forwards. When attackers must constantly chase a game, the rhythm of their performances shifts. Instead of building measured attacks, they find themselves rushing decisions, taking shots from poor angles, or forcing passes that are not there. The natural flow disappears and frustration starts creeping in. Even players who thrive under pressure can only carry so much weight when the foundation behind them is unstable. Rangers have created chances, sometimes good ones, but converting them becomes harder when every missed opportunity feels like another door closing. Rowe understands that balance is crucial. To rebuild confidence, he needs his team to show that they can control matches from the back before worrying about elegance in the final third. That does not mean abandoning ambition, but rather establishing the trust that everyone knows their role and will carry it out with conviction. It only takes a couple of solid performances to shift the mood drastically, especially at Ibrox, where the crowd is always ready to get behind a team that shows commitment and clarity. The upcoming fixtures offer both danger and opportunity. Kilmarnock arriving at Ibrox carries the weight of a test that Rangers cannot afford to fail. They are a side that thrives on organisation and physicality, the exact traits that have caused problems for Rowe's squad in recent weeks. For Rangers, this match cannot be approached with hesitation. It must be played with the intensity of a team that fully understands what is at stake, one that refuses to allow another match to drift away through avoidable mistakes. Rowe may look to bring fresh faces into the starting side, not necessarily as punishment, but as an attempt to inject energy, urgency, and accountability. Young players could offer that spark because they carry the hunger to prove themselves and the fearlessness that comes from not being weighed down by recent errors. If Rowe believes a reshuffle will reawaken the competitive edge within the squad, he is unlikely to hesitate. The January window will bring reinforcements, but until then, he must get every ounce he can from the options he currently has. Beyond the immediate fixtures, the larger conversation is centered on what kind of Rangers will emerge on the other side of the transfer window. The club is in the middle of structural change, and with two major leadership roles currently unfilled, Rowe's influence is at an all-time high. Supporters want clarity, direction, and a sense that the people guiding the club's decisions understand the urgency of the moment. They want smart recruitment, but more importantly, they want a team with an identity and a backbone, one capable of competing with consistency and belief. There is anticipation building around what a Danny Rowe squad will truly look like once he's given the freedom to shape it. The expectation is that new arrivals will add resilience, technical quality, and the type of mentality required to handle the pressures of competing at the top of Scottish football. Players who fight for every ball, communicate constantly, and refuse to switch off in the difficult moments. Those are the traits that have defined many successful Rangers sides in the past, and Rowe knows that rediscovering them is key to restoring momentum. Even with all the challenges swirling around, the supporters remain hopeful They have seen flashes of what Rowe wants this team to become, glimpses of a more assertive, more confident Rangers. But flashes are not enough anymore. Consistency must follow. The team cannot afford to allow matches to slip away through hesitation or poor decision-making. The window for climbing the table is still open, but only if Rangers treat every fixture as a chance to close the gap, not just survive it. As the next fixture approaches, the narrative surrounding the club feels like it is balancing on a knife edge. A strong performance could calm everything down and inject hope back into the campaign, but another slip-up would deepen the concerns and increase the pressure. The squad is aware of that dynamic. They know that every player must raise their level. The defenders must rediscover their sharpness. The midfield must set the tempo. The forwards must take their chances when they come. It will take a collective response, a full team effort where everyone understands their role in steering the season back on track. Before we continue, make sure to subscribe to our channel and turn on notifications to get all the exclusive news about Rangers FC. Don't overlook any details about your beloved team. It's crucial for Rangers FC fans. The word drifting ruined Govan this morn has folk fair blethering. Rangers are said to be lining up a mega offer for Lawrence Shankland, a move that stirred up more chatter than a busy night in the Loudon. Nothing's confirmed, nay official statement, but the rumour mill is grinding loud enough that even the pigeons perched on the Copland Road could repeat it. Whispers started trickling through supporters' groups late last night, hinting that senior figures inside Ibrox are keen to bring in a proven Scottish scorer, someone who kens the league, kens the pressure, and can stick the ball in the net when it matters. And Shankland, why his knack for finishing and his swagger up top fits that profile like a glove. Some claim the proposed bid is hefty enough to turn hides, the kind of money that suggests serious intent rather than idle window shopping. There's talk that Rangers see him as the missing piece, a leader in the front line who could steady the ship and fire the side forward in the months ahead. Others mutter that this might be a signal from the board, a show that they're ready to push the boat out again after a spell of keeping things tight. Still, plenty are sceptical. After all, the club's been linked to half the strikers in Britain by now, and Shankland's name often pops up whenever a bit of excitement is needed. At Tynecastle, the mood is said to be twitchy, with some fearing their talisman could be tempted southwest along the M8. Hearts supporters are brushing it off as noise, but even their bravest are casting cautious glances at the rumoured figures being bandied about. For now, it remains just that, a rumour, a burble, a story floating through the pubs and message boards, but there's a sense, faint yet growing, that something might be brewing behind the scenes. And if the whispers prove true, the next few days in Scottish Fitbar could be very lively indeed. Greetings, fans. Make sure to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel, as it's greatly appreciated by Rangers FC. And don't forget to share your thoughts on the news in the comments section below. Until the next video, stay tuned.